Guilt. How many of you feel guilty? I think we all do. But guilt is such an unusual thing. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, but you sure can feel it. And you can feel guilty for something you did, something you didn't do, something you wished you had done, and something you wished you hadn't done. And heck, some people feel guilty about feeling guilty. Now, there's words that are associated with guilt, like guilt-laden. When I hear those words, it makes me think of being a big mound of mashed potatoes and somebody comes along with a ladle filled with guilt and just pours it all over you. Ugh. And then there's guilty party. When was the last time you got a note in the mail that said, "Dear John, you're invited to a party for guilt. 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Come on down." And there's so many ways to feel guilty, and they keep adding more. Did you know there's actually something called green guilt? It's when you don't do enough to take care of Mother Nature. Perhaps you don't recycle enough. Well, let me tell you, guilt knows how to recycle. Yep, you do something wrong and it just doesn't stay there. It gets repeated over and over and over in your mind. And you carry it with you, sometimes for days, weeks, months, or even years. We carry those bags of guilt with us everywhere we go. And then there's diet guilt. Yes, you wake up in the morning, you hop on that scale, you look at the number, and you've gained 2 pounds. You might as well put your jammies back on because your day is ruined. So you finally decide, okay, starting Monday morning, I am going on a diet. Monday morning, you get up, you are psyched. You walk into work, and there in the middle of the room is the most delectable, delicious looking chocolate cake you have ever laid eyes on. It's Susie's birthday. At noon, everyone gathers in the middle of the office to sing happy birthday to Susie. After we sing, she blows out her candles, everybody hurrahs and hoorays, and then they begin to cut the cake. Every single piece that passes you, you can smell the waft of the chocolate. Oh, it smells so good. You're hanging tough. Now, the rest of the day, every single person you encounter tells you how delicious the cake was, that it was the best cake they ever ate. You're strong. It's now 4:55, almost time to go home. You walk in the main office, and there in the middle of the room is that one lone piece of that delectable, delicious looking chocolate cake. It calls you to it. As you get close to the cake, you're looking at it. The voice in your head says, "Oh, come on, just have a little tiny bite. I mean, after all, that can't hurt you." And everyone said how absolutely delicious it was. So in a weak moment, you pick up the fork. You take a teeny tiny bite of that chocolate cake. Oh my gosh, it just melts in your mouth. And in 2 minutes, you have eaten the entire piece of cake, scraped off the bottom of the plate, and licked off the final crumb of your cake. Put the fork down. And immediately the other voice in your head starts talking. "I can't believe you. What's wrong with you? Have you no ability to say no? You're such a loser." Now, guilt gets you coming and it gets you going. Now, therapists know that guilt's been around for a long time. I mean, after all, look at Adam and Eve, and all they ate was an apple. They didn't even eat a piece of decadent chocolate cake, and they're still carrying their guilt with them. Now, therapists don't know how to cure guilt, but they have suggestions on how to deal with it. Number one, they suggest having tea with your guilt. So sit down at a table, pour yourself some tea, and imagine yourself sitting across the table from your guilt. Now, we all probably associate voices in our head with some of our guilt. Maybe from our mother or our father, or maybe from that mean second grade teacher. But what is the face of guilt? Is it ugly? Is it scary? Maybe it's a clown face, laughing its head off at us for taking so much time and energy of our life and giving it to guilt. Number two is to make amends with your guilt. So one day you finally dig in your guilt bag, find something that's been there for 25 years. And you decide you're going to confront your friend and ask for forgiveness. You put your big girl pants on and you confront them. And as you're speaking with them, they look at you like you have three heads. They don't even remember what the problem was. And you've been carrying it around in your bag for 25 years. Now, some therapists suggest that it might not be a bad idea to have a little bit of healthy guilt. Well, what's healthy guilt? Is it guilt that you give vitamins to? Or maybe you put it on the treadmill? Or maybe you give it fruit smoothies? I don't know how you make your guilt healthy. And number four, they suggest just let it go. Because after all, we're just human. We make mistakes. Well, if they had told me that 30 years ago, my bags wouldn't be so full of guilt. Now, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I'd like to leave you with two thoughts to ponder. Number one, guilt spelled backwards is talug. Yes, talug, a nonsensical word. And to be honest with you, I think guilt is a nonsensical word. And I think we need to give it a lot less time and energy in our lives. And number two is I think we are going at this all the wrong way. Instead of being on a diet from that delicious chocolate cake, I think we need to go on a diet from our guilt. So the next time guilt climbs up on your plate, look it straight in the eye and say, I'm sorry, I'm on a diet.